All right, I'm going to call to order the Common Council meeting on February 11th at 7:30. First up is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Roll call, please.
Alder Radafrada. Alder Barr. Alder Clouder. Alder Krause. Alder Rice. Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Alder Schroeder is absent with excuse. Alder Scott. Alder Strassman. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. I do not have any public appearances on non-agenda items, but there's a couple for a public hearing here. But first, I'd like to first read the mayoral proclamation recognizing February 2020 as African American History Month. Whereas the United States annually recognizes in February the generations of African Americans who struggled with adversity while striving for full citizenship, and whereas this year's theme is African Americans and the vote, coinciding with the 150th anniversary of the 15th Amendment, which gave African American men the right to vote. And whereas the town of Fitchburg, Wisconsin was founded in 1847 as the town of Greenfield, renamed to Fitchburg in 1853, and later incorporated as the city of Fitchburg in 1983. And whereas the Honorable Frances Huntley Cooper became the first African American woman to be elected to the Fitchburg Common Council in 1987, was elected council president by her peers in 1989, and elected mayor of Fitchburg in 1991, becoming the first African American to lead any Wisconsin city. And whereas Fitchburg has blossomed into the most diverse city in Dane County, with approximately 36% residents of color, including approximately 12% residents of African descent, with religious and economic diversity to match. And whereas Fitchburg is home to a thriving, engaged African American community, including leaders in government, education, medicine, science, business, labor, the faith community, and the nonprofit sector, striving for each individual's own version of the American dream. And whereas the leaders of the city of Fitchburg believe in equal opportunity and justice for all people, and recognize the value added to our community by our diversity. And whereas Fitchburg's local government is working to make a more inclusive city in which everyone is respected and recognized for their past and potential contributions to our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Aaron Richardson, Mayor, do hereby recognize the month of February 2020 as African American History Month in the city of Fitchburg, Wisconsin. Be it further resolved that all citizens are urged to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. I think, that entire thing, I just am most proud of electing the first African American man or woman to lead Wisconsin City when we elected Frances Huntley Cooper as mayor. I think that's a great feather in our cap, and hopefully we continue to recognize and celebrate the diversity we have in our city. All right, moving along to the public hearing on comprehensive plan, and just for anyone watching at home, we have another formal hearing coming up in about a month, but want to provide more opportunities for people to come and speak, and I have a couple people that would like to speak tonight. First is Rita Hendricks, and then James Wheeler will be after that.
Good evening. I'm Rita Hendricks. Thanks for the opportunity to offer comments from Jay Hackmuth, Sue Easterday, Ben Lindberg, and myself on the draft comprehensive plan. Staff should be commended for their work to get this draft plan ready for consideration at public hearings. It contains many provisions that will serve the city well for the next 10 years, especially the wording on pages 5-3 and 5-6. That's in resolution 5-239-19. This wording is essential for assuring elected officials in Fitchburg, not appointed officials, to have the final say on the need for and content of the comprehensive plan amendment. The reasons for the comprehensive plan update adopted by the council in 2020 should contain the wording that's in attachment 2. Given these considerations, please vote against removing any final say wording of the 31020 draft or adding a poison pill wording to it. Instead, please vote to remove the wording on page 5.3 recommended by the Plan Commission on 1/21/20 that requires the council and the commission to agree on wording of the comprehensive plan amendment. The 31020 draft also contains several provisions we believe need to be revised, and several need to have added need something added to assure issues that surfaced in 2017, 18, and 19 implementing the current comprehensive plan do not occur again. Attachment 4 contains the revisions that we believe are needed. On page 416, 2 more notes should be added at the end of the section entitled Future Land Use Maps Notes. These notes are needed to establish conditions applicable to 2 parcels for which the land use designation changed. The note for the 40-acre parcel at Seminole Highway Lacey Road intersection and the note for the 107-acre parcel on US 14 MM intersection should list events that must occur before each parcel can be designated government institutional. On page 4-17, wording should be added to require net acreage of a parcel be used to calculate the maximum number of allowable units on it. On 5-5, the first paragraph should be modified to allow a major update to occur when deemed necessary by the council because it will provide a net benefit to the city. Today, we offer a schedule in attachment 5 to respond to comments submitted on 1/21/20 draft and the 3/10/20 draft before the comp plan update is adopted, as Wisconsin statutes require under State Statute 66.10014A. This sequence of events will hopefully allow the council on 310 to have access to the staff's recommended response to all the comments submitted before and at the 3/10/20 hearing. Thank you for considering these comments.
Thank you, Rita. And James?
Thank you, members of the council. And I listened to that meeting of the Plan Commission on January 21st, and I must say that I do not agree that the Plan Commission and the City Council must agree on language. For me, the governing body is the final and ultimate authority. And I know there's a city opinion out there which says that they have to agree, but I would just direct your attention to statute, State Statute 6211.5, which basically says the powers that's granted by the state legislature, except as elsewhere in the statute specifically provided, the council shall have the management and control of the city property, finances, highways, navigable waters, and public service, and shall have power to act for the government and good order of the city for its commercial benefit and for the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and may carry out its powers by license, regulation, suppression, borrowing of money, tax levy, appropriation, fine, imprisonment, confiscation, and other necessary convenient means. The powers hereby conferred shall be in addition to all other grants and shall be limited only by express language. And you look at Black's Dictionary for express, made known distinctly and explicitly, not left to interference or implication, declared in terms set forth in words, manifested by direct and appropriate language, and that's distinguished from that which is inferred from conduct. The state legislature does a very good job when they want to limit the authority of a governing body. And I believe that if they wanted to say that unelected body has the authority to basically block a legislative body, legislation by a legislative body or governing body, they would have made that very much clear. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is basically this whole process with the comprehensive plan and also with other things that have happened with zoning, and it's my disappointment in some of the things that I've heard out of this council. And some of that has to deal with people's voices not being respected. And when I hear from a governing body that I have to be here in order for something to be important, you know, to me, to oppose it, I really disagree. We have television, the feed from this council that's, you know, projected or, you know, online where people can see it. And if I'm sick, if I don't have a car, if I can't get here or whatever, my expectation is that I should be able to contact my representative, my alder, and actually give my opinion, and that should be respected. I think it's basically disenfranchising people when I hear that, well, you got a petition and that's no big deal because we know what's best for Fitchburg. Well, what's best for Fitchburg is to make sure everyone is included into this government. If not, this basically just becomes an elitist club where only people who are, available to speak are the ones who get hurt. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't have anyone else, so seeing no one else, I'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, it's moved and second. Anything that anyone wants to take out of the consent agenda? Seeing nothing, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Pat, Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items to report here. One is that the city has actually sent out proposals for the Lake Barney stormwater analysis. And as many of you know, there's been increased water levels down there. So this study will address that. It's a multi-jurisdictional effort between the city, the Village of Oregon, the county, the state, the DNR, and so on and so forth. So we believe that's going to go a long way towards resolving some of the issues down there, and we're looking forward to get this process started. Did I turn that off?
Yeah,
Okay. Second thing is the Verona Road Business Coalition. They have their annual meeting, and that'll be at 4:30 tomorrow evening. And that'll be located at K&L Engineering building at Highway PD in Verona Road.
And that's the last annual meeting, right?
That is the last annual meeting of that coalition. As you know, Cindy Yagi is under contract with the city for the Fish Hatchery Road project, and we look forward to working with her during the construction of that project. And then last, June 21st is Make Music Day, and the city will be participating in that event via marketing of several public events, along with sort of a depository of all the things that'll be going on in the community at private venues such as restaurants and bars. So June 21st for that event. And then lastly, I'd like to note that as many of you know, we hired a new city assessor about just over a year ago. And her first responsibility was to make sure that all the residential assessments were in line. She spent the majority of that year working on that, and we believe she made great strides towards equity among our residential properties in the city. It was recently noted that there's been some major discrepancies in the way that our commercial properties have been assessed in the past. We will spend the next few months here evaluating assessments of commercial properties, make sure there's equity with our neighboring communities and within our community, and make sure that there's equity in the tax distribution between commercial and residential properties. So I will be reporting more to this body as we move forward with this commercial assessment evaluation. But please note that we've noted some severe discrepancies, and our commercial properties have been underassessed to a level that concerns me over the last 5 to 10 years, and we're looking to right the ship there.
I think you also want to mention that not all commercial properties are done by the city, and the ones that are done by the state, we don't have any concerns about.
That's correct. Some of our commercial / manufacturing properties like Promega, Sub-Zero, to name the big ones in the community, manufacturing is assessed by the state of Wisconsin, and we will not be reevaluating those properties. It'll be the properties that are strictly assessed by the city on an annual basis. And anybody that has any questions, either public or from this body that has questions of me regarding that, please come visit me in the office or give me a call.
Yeah.
How many commercial, assessment are we talking about?
There's over 400 commercial properties in the city of Fitchburg. Some, obviously, they vary in size, but we'll be reevaluating over the next 3 months over 400 parcels.
Can I ask another follow-up question? So do you think that the city, you say, we made an error assessing those commercial like undervalue, or we are,
All of them are undervalued.
undervalue? Okay. So I imagine that there's going to be an outreach to these businesses to inform them.
Yeah, actually, myself and other staff members will be going out and meeting with the individual business owners, as many as we can hit through the next 3 months, and then we'll be inviting them into our office to explain what's happened. They'll be able to see the records of past assessments along with comparable properties in our neighboring communities.
So it will be possible for the, as an elder in my district, have a lot of businesses and commercial. Can I receive a list of all the commercial that you're planning to talk to those people?
Yeah. Anything you want from me, just drop it.
No, because I know some of the business owner commercial, and I would like to,
Yep. Yeah, I'd be happy to meet with you.
Okay.
Dorothy, did you have a question?
I was just going to say, one of the numbers that would be interesting to be able to present to them if you want to pre-prepare for it is how much they've likely saved over the years by being undervalued.
That's definitely on the agenda, along with the key comparison we want to show them is their assessed valuation in comparison to comparable properties in neighboring communities.
Anyway, and I think the priority is the top, 10 or 20 properties in terms of value. I mean, they're certainly reaching out to those people first. And
Yeah, we'll definitely hit those first, but anybody, any business, big or small, that wants to meet with us or our assessment staff, we'll be happy to meet with them.
anything else? Oh, yeah, do it.
So let's assume for discussion's sake that there's going to be an increase in their taxes. When are we anticipating they would start seeing that change in their taxes? Are we
It would be
anticipating-
during the, they would get their tax bill prior to June of this year. They would have the opportunity for open book to go through that process, and then any process they wish to follow moving forward. So it'll be June when, at the latest, that they would see their new tax bill.
I imagine that we're going to have like some installment payment to them, because I don't know if I am in a commercial and then suddenly receive an extra bill for $10,000,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the.
So we are going to have any plan with them for installment payments, something like that?
The plan right now is to bring forth an equitable tax bill to these properties, and then it would be up to this body how that issue is resolved.
Well, do they have the opportunity, kind of like residents do, to pay like half at the beginning of the year and half later type of thing?
Yeah, they can pay their tax bill half or quarterly or however they wish throughout the year.
Dorothy?
Knowing there will be some variation, is there a percent range increase that people might want to start anticipating?
I don't want to guesstimate what that would be. I would rather wait until the experts determine that dollar amount before I make that public, and I'd be willing to do that once we see a fair number of assessments come out where I can give you an average.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is making sure we have a very specific process that we're getting these numbers from as we're doing this, so that we can explain it.
Yeah, the key here is fair and equitable among our businesses and residents, and with the discrepancies we've seen recently that advanced several years back, that hasn't been the case.
Can I ask a question?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are you gonna know to start reaching out to the businesses? And then how much time do they have between when you reach out to them and find out how much they're gonna owe to the time that they know how much their taxes are gonna be?
I'm working with the assessment office to make sure that they address the top 20 businesses first. I'm going to meet individually with those in terms of dollar amount, top 20 businesses. And I'll meet with all those businesses individually first. So that should occur within the next 30 to 45 days. And then we're going to go right down the line. So it's anticipated that over the next 8 to 12 weeks, the majority of businesses in the community will have a good idea of what type of increase we're looking at for their valuation.
Julie, do you have another question?
Yeah, when you talk about several years backward, how many several are?
Prior to 2007.
Ann, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you talk about they're going to have an assessment, you're going to reassess.
Every commercial business, over 400 commercial businesses will be reassessed.
So, but that isn't the same thing as their tax bill, where they've already gotten their tax bills for this year.
No, this will be for this will be
Right.
for 2020 tax bill.
So there won't be an adjustment backwards.
There will not be.
It would just be going forward.
It'd be going forward.
Right, okay.
All right, then more to come as we.
More to come. I'll keep you updated. And again, if there's any specific or additional questions, feel free to contact myself. I'll be the liaison between staff and this body.
All right. Moving on, Plan Commission meets next week. Board of Public Works, Dan.
Well, we'll begin here, with a motion to approve Resolution R 1020, authorizing Dane County Services for Stormwater Permit Review and Inspection 2020.
All right. And did Public Works approve?
They did.
Did Finance? All right, they also did. Anything you want to say about this one, Dan?
It's pretty straightforward. I don't know, Pat, you have anything to add?
Kind of an annual thing.
Yeah, it's an annual agreement with Dane County. We contract with them to do all of our stormwater assessments in regards to new development. So if we have, for instance, a large commercial property come in, they evaluate the stormwater based on the square footage of the impervious surface and make sure that they're in line with the city requirements.
And we passed through those costs.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, those costs are strictly passed through.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Next one, Dan.
Motion to approve Resolution R 17-20, the 2020 annual purchase of bulk fuel.
All right, seconded by Ann. But did Public Works approve?
They did.
Did Finance approve? All right, and this is kind of the same thing.
Well, it's
annually.
bulk fuel for the entire city, not just the Public Works Department, so, we want
fire, yeah.
to have equitable and fuel for all of our vehicles and fleet.
Okay, we get a better deal by purchasing a lot up front. So.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no questions, that's the annual thing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Anything else Public Works related?
No.
All right, Parks Commission, unfortunately, Sarah's gone. They actually didn't meet this month. They canceled their meeting last week. Library Board?
Our next meeting is Wednesday, February 19th at 5:30 at the library.
All right. Commission on Aging Well.
We've got a meeting coming up this Thursday morning.
All right. RCC, again, Sarah's not here, but I do know that they're going to be coming into committee of whole and just talk a little bit about the conservation efforts that the city is doing, kind of give us an update on that. So we'll look forward to that in a couple weeks. Transportation and transit, Dan.
There's a meeting on the 13th of February, so Thursday evening it is, and so we'll be meeting then.
All right. CETA, Julia.
No report.
All right. Ag and Rural Affairs.
I think probably the key thing is the one we've already discussed with Lake Barney.
All right. What about EMS Commission?
No report.
All right. Bicycle Committee. No report. All right. Tree Advisory Committee.
No report.
Nothing. All right. Landmarks Preservation.
No report.
All right. Moving along. Finance.
But before we move.
Oh, yeah.
I've already asked Tracy to add for the duration, complete count committee as well as
yeah.
housing committee.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Do you have anything for Complete Count Committee or Housing Committee?
We met with the complete count yesterday morning.
Can you explain what it is, just for as a reminder for people at home?
It is basically the city's assistance to make the census a good, complete process. There's going to be any number of ways that the city will participate. I've got a whole list of ways that we're going to do it. One thing for you that I suggested was to make the month of April, do a mayoral proclamation to make the month of April, the census month, whatever. So if we can do that, that would be great. One of the big things, and I will hold this up for the camera and everyone else, they're really, really encouraging people to apply. They're down hundreds or thousands of jobs in the city or in the area. They really want people to apply. All the retired folk that that have a little extra time, people that want a little bit of a part-time job, particularly bilingual people. I asked in the meeting if you must be a citizen, and the answer is no. They need people so badly that they're going to take on Spanish-speaking non-citizen folks to help with the census. So that'll be something good to know. If people can't read it, it says 2020 census.gov/jobs is where to apply online. It's everywhere from office support to field supervision work to knocking on doors, making calls, just contacting people. But the big need will be for people who are available to actually contact people. One of the programs that they're really working hard on is working with apartment management to get into buildings to be able to knock on doors of people that haven't responded. Early in May, people will be getting a letter, postcard, I'm not certain which, in the mail that says you can go online and fill out. It's a 9-question questionnaire. They used to have long forms that some people got. They no longer have that long form. So it's for everybody 9 questions. And a couple of the questions will be multiplied because you'll be answering for each person in your household. And those go to addresses. They do not go to names. So every address in the city will be getting an invitation to connect online. And then starting in April, it'll be kind of reminder postcards and calls and things to get people. But there are many categories of people that are difficult to reach. Again, the bilingual is one set. Any transitory type people are difficult. Seniors are supposed to be difficult. They have to work on nursing homes and prisons and things. We have our prison here. So there's just all kinds of groups that are difficult. Much of the city, it was 85% replied without prompting for the 2000 census, but only 78% applied without, or did the census form without prompting in the 2010 census. So hopefully we would like to push that number up this time.
Great. All right. And I know Housing Committee's first meeting is coming up in a few weeks.
March 9th at 5 o'clock.
All right. Thank you. All right. Finance Committee, Tom?
There's 4 groups of bills to pay, and the first one would be approval of checks issued 12025 through 120396. These are dated 1/16/20 through 1/31/20. The total is $656,446.30. If there are no questions, I'll keep going. Next is ACH payment. These are dated January 2020. The total is $305,626.53. The next one is the P-card transactions. These for cycle ending December 6, 2019. The total there was $319,694.33. The last one is the P-card transactions for cycle ending January 6th of this year. Total is $103,158.57.
All right. And looks like you got some.
I'll do the next one. It'd be resolution. It's resolution in ordinances. It's our 1920 authorizing payment to the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce and Business Bureau per tours contract. And I'll move to approve.
All right. Second. Is that seconded by?
Second.
All right, seconded by Janelle. And it looks like this is just kind of an annual thing that we do, kind of record, or, well, it goes out quarterly, but I think, do we approve it quarterly or just for the year right now, right?
Yeah, I believe we approve it annually, you're
Yeah,
correct.
but we do get the payments.
Do the
quarterly.
payments quarterly,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep. And I think we're required to do that, and the chambers are people who do that for us, so. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, that is approved. Next one.
The next one is resolution, it's R 24-20, amending the 2020 general fund budget for drug testing for certain defendants. I'll move that approval.
Second.
All right, seconded by Janelle. This, do you want me to speak to this? Do you want to speak to this?
I'll just start by saying that the judge has a new testing process that he's trying to implement. It has to do with offenders not having to pay, and if they don't pay, if they finish a process. And it's kind of a, the city's never had this before, but I trust Judge Homney's judgment on it. And we did ask in finance in approximately 6 months to get back to us with some results, or if there's a problem, which, or not to say there'll be a problem, but how the program's going, I guess that's what I want to say.
Yeah, it's something
wanna-
that the judge asked us to look into, and it's for people who meet poverty threshold, that we would pay for this first offenders program for them. His concern was that some people might not go into this first offenders program because of the cost, and so I think it's a great thing to make available. I think we're estimating it's, 500, maybe a little more than that, dollars a year. So it's not a huge cost to the city, but for people who have limited means, it might be enough for them to not want to go through this program. And I think it's a great thing for them to go through. And so we want to make sure that it's available for anyone.
Yeah, and just to add to that, if I may, it would be paid through court proceeds. It wouldn't impact the general fund at all.
And I believe that this is for people who are under 18 years of age that are part of that program.
We approved this in public safety.
Oh, good, okay. I didn't see that on there, but, okay, good, thank you. Any other questions at all? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. One more.
Last one I have is it's ordinance 2020-0-08, creating section 10-188 of the Fitchburg ordinance approving the distribution of payment for state property tax credits directly to the city of Fitchburg. I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, and do you want to explain?
And I know Pat wants to tell us about this further.
All right,
Sure. Basically, this would just alleviate this going through the county. It would be direct to the city of Fitchburg, so it alleviates one step in the process.
we get our money a little bit quicker,
Yeah,
essentially.
yep.
And the way we do that is pass an ordinance, so,
And a month of interest.
yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. All right, that passes as well. Anything else for finance before we move on? You don't have any other things?
We had a
on?
short meeting, no, it was,
All right,
took care of it.
all right, personnel committee.
We are meeting next week, February 18.
All right. Public safety, anything you want to add? All right. Mayor's reports. One thing I just wanted to mention is the primaries next week. If residents want to vote early, you can do that this week, but you have to do it by the end of this week. So, 5 o'clock on Friday. All right. I recommend it. I mean, the primary's not going to be too busy probably, but it's convenient, I think, to go early, and I have to wait in line if there's a line, so I recommend that. Other than that, there's a lot happening in the city. I think that if you've driven down Fish Hatchery Road, at least today, I don't know if this was a new thing today or not, but the juice plant is starting to come down, and especially if you're going south to north, you can see the side of the building is coming down pretty good. They're doing as much as they can to recycle in that project as well, so that's a really neat thing to hear, is that they're salvaging every little thing that they can in there as they go through and do that. So that is coming down, and that's kind of all I have at this point. So how about, I'll start with District 2 today on district reports. Dan?
No report.
All right, Julia?
It's not related to District 2, but I want to inform that the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative grant process is open for new application. The deadline is February 17, and this year we are going to have another partner in the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, is United Way, we are launching in the Fitchburg Fund that is powered by the United Way. It's going to be a Fitchburg-focused fundraising campaign, and the funds raised by United Way will be matched by $15,000 in city funding. And these funds will be pooled to support a qualified not-for-profit organization work on the youth equity issues. And especially we are looking to work in District 1 on the west side of the Verona Road Highway. So Dorothy is going to explain a little bit more about the Fitchburg Fund. But for the not-for-profit organization that are watching us, so the grant is open until February 17. We are going to work with opening the process on March 4th, I think is the meeting for the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative members to go through the grant application. So if anyone has a question, they can communicate with Wade Thompson in City Hall, and he will give you some more detail about the grants and the requirements.
All right. Hopefully people apply for that. Ann? All right, Dorothy?
And continuing on the Fitchburg Fund a little bit, what they're doing with United Way is hosting a program where there will be an RFP. It'd be for $30,000 or more. If United Way is able to raise more than $15,000, the city's going to match $15,000, but they will put as much money as they can raise into the program, including beyond the $15,000 share. And that's going to go with working on the youth that are experiencing difficulties and making problems for the community. So I have high hopes for a really good outcome with a $30,000 pot to put a good program together. The bullet points they have is improving academic proficiency, developing leadership qualities, and promoting career readiness. So just to help kids that are kind of wandering to find a better path for their future. And I think that's a really essential service that we can put together for them.
Anything else?
Otherwise, other than a teeny tiny little fire that didn't even wake me up a half a block from my house, not much.
All right. Janelle?
I guess the one thing I'd like to circle back on was the work we did not that long ago around the Airbnb. I've gotten great feedback from my neighbors on what we've done. Tom and I have both been tapped by the press from 2 of the networks to talk about the work, and I think what the feedback that I'm hearing is that there are some other communities that are really concerned about the direction that they're gonna go and the loopholes that exist and how they're going to make balanced decisions in that area. And I'm grateful. I don't know that we've got 100% of this in place, but I feel like we had a solid conversation and we've got a solid start. So, I think there's gonna continue to be a lot of interest and discussion around how communities are making decisions and trying to find a fair balance there.
All right. Don?
I just have one thing that had to do with the burnt house on the Berlin up there. Do we have any further, for the residents that are watching, that are wondering about this house, I know there was a problem with the insurance company and it was out of state, and we won't get into that, but there was problems with it, and I think we were getting that solved. And as far as I know, it is moving forward a little bit, isn't it?
It is moving forward. I talked with our building inspection department and our fire department after it was brought up a meeting or 2 ago. And that is moving forward, so we should see progress in that neighborhood finally.
Okay.
And speaking of other kind of properties like that, I noticed that they're also building on the lot next to the house that had blown up. They had rebuilt a house on that lot, and now the lot next to it is also getting built on, so that's another.
Yeah, I believe it's all framed up.
Yep, yeah, it's pretty far along, so that's good to see. Shannon?
Nothing for our district.
All right, sounds good.
Can I add a note?
Oh, yeah.
On Janelle's Airbnb, some of the property owners are asking that Airbnb not collect room tax, that they'll pay it themselves. I don't believe that for a minute. Airbnb is pretty good at collecting and distributing that money. So as a municipality and as individuals, we should encourage Airbnb to continue collecting room tax.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree. All right, moving on to unfinished business, the comprehensive plan. March 10th is kind of the public hearing, possible action. They have put on their website all the comments that all of you submitted, so that's out there right now. And I need to follow up with Sonia to find out if we're going to post comments that we get from the public weekly maybe, and what kind of response that might be. But I would imagine that we'll probably continue updating that website over the next month before we kind of make some final decisions on that. So still rolling along with that. Please, if you have comments in the public, let us know, let staff know, and we'll conclude those. And then moving along to direct referrals, would someone maybe on finance like to move this one?
No. Just
A motion to approve R 32-20, an addendum to the 2020 Dane County contract with the Senior Center for increased funding.
All right, is there a second? All right, seconded by Ann. Did finance approve?
They did.
All right, do you want
We
to, the county's giving us more money.
we want to take their money, so it's not less, and so it's good for the senior center, and we have a very vibrant senior center, and so I think we should support this.
Yeah,
It's
All right.
about $1,500.
Yeah. Yep. And I know Jill said today that there might be another adjustment for us to get a little bit more in the future too, but
Bless you.
Yeah, I believe the, any additional increase is covered in this resolution, that any additional increases from the county would be just accepted without coming to this body.
yeah, Tom.
Mayor, in reference to the, going back to the comp plan, just for 1 second.
Oh, first can we vote on this?
Oh.
All right, all in favor of resolution R3220, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hi.
Any opposed, nay? All right, Tom.
Mayor, in reference to the comp plan, will staff probably in the next few weeks maybe also address the questions in writing? Maybe that's what you were saying too?
Yeah,
We're
provide some
just making it
kind
a
of
little clearer.
response to-
So if somebody writes in, I know it's kind of a process, but someone already called me about the responses, and I'm assuming they'll come out maybe the next couple of weeks, maybe a week or something?
Yeah, I think it's important to have the staff responses way before that March 10th meeting.
Right.
Where we have that public hearing.
That's-
And it might be a list of, hey, these are, just little typos, we should prove it no problem. Here's a list of things we think also no problem. Here's the things where you might want to talk about it more and what staff thinks. So I'm foreseeing anyway on that, so, yep. All right, next common council meeting is in a couple weeks. Committee of the Whole is also a couple weeks in a day. We'll be hearing from the Safe Kids folks who are running down some space in Fire Station 1. And also RCC will provide an update. If you want to mark on your calendars now, the March Committee of the Whole, we are going to cancel. That's just before the election. And at least a couple people will be not with us on this council. Sorry, that sounds bad if I say not with us. Will not be on council after the election. They'll be with us for a long time.
Dwindling commitment.
Nice recovery.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn, please? Oh, wait, hold on, Ann.
Could I just say one thing?
Yes.
This might be not relevant for anybody in particular, but the city of Madison is now charging a $40 wheel tax if you live in the city of Madison. But I have had my address listed in the city of Madison. I mean, we had the option of listing your address as Madison or Fitchburg, since we have a Madison post office. So when I got my renewal notice, they charged me $40 for the wheel tax. So you have a couple of options. You can either just send in your check without the $40, or if you want to cover yourself, you might want to call the DOT first and just say, my address is Madison, I don't live in Madison, my car is not stored in Madison, and I don't want to pay the $40 wheel tax. So just to be on the lookout for that, otherwise you're going to pay $40 wheel tax.
Okay. That'd be something good for our local newspaper to even mention. Not to give you story ideas. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? All right, we're adjourned.